In 3 weeks, the number one recruit in the 2025 class will make his final decision. Bryce Underwood, the number one QB, the number one overall prospect, will be committing on January 6th. But this weekend, right before the dead period, he made a trip to Tuscaloosa. I got BamaOnline insider Andrew Bone on the show to break down Alabama's chances at the number one overall prospect. Let's get to it, Bama fans. But first, hit the subscribe button to the On3 Recruits channel. We are trying to grow this page. We need you to be a part of it. Hit subscribe for me, please. All right, let's bring on Andrew Bone from BamaOnline. Now, Andrew, we know Underwood is about 3 weeks from a decision. This season, he's been to Penn State, Michigan, LSU. He was already at Bama during the summer. But what do you think this final visit means right before the dead period?
I think you want to get one last look at Alabama. It's kind of funny. You read different articles kind of throughout the week leading up to the final weekend, and we kept seeing, if Bryce Underwood ends up going somewhere, somebody's going to have a chance to land his commitment. Whoever gets him on campus on that final weekend. Of course, everybody was kind of thinking he was either going to visit LSU or Michigan, but instead he shows up in Tuscaloosa. So, I think Alabama's in it. I think they've had a good weekend with him. The biggest question is, how comfortable is he with the coaching staff? He visited Alabama back in June. It was his first trip to Tuscaloosa, and it was kind of a surprise visit then. Nobody knew that he was going to show up. I don't even think the Alabama coaches knew until the day before that he was coming in for an unofficial visit. They had a great time with him back then. He really hit it off with several Alabama commitments, including Ryan Williams and Jamie French, who are of course, Ryan reclassified, but Jamie's a 5-star in that 2025 class as well. But Alabama would certainly love to add Bryce Underwood to this class. But even prior to the weekend, I think that LSU, Michigan were probably the front runners. I don't know if that's changed at all, but the fact that he make a trip down to Tuscaloosa, that the final weekend. Before the early signing period and before he makes that decision, I think that's got to say that Alabama's at least has a fighter's chance with him heading into the home stretch.
Oh, I think everybody knew Alabama was in it, but I think this visit really kind of solidified things that, hey, Alabama is a real threat to land him on January 6th. Now, when it comes to his recruitment, who's his primary recruiter to Alabama, and how is his relationship with OC Tommy Rees?
Yeah, so Coach Rees is, he's not only the offense coordinator and QB's coach, he's also the area recruiter. Knows the Midwest area really well. From Chicago, playing at Notre Dame, being coached at Notre Dame, he's really well versed on the entire area up there. So he's been recruiting them kind of from start to finish. There's some other quarterbacks that are out there. There's probably 2 or 3 guys that can pick up the phone right now. Call Coach Saban, call Coach Rees, make that decision. And, he's certainly one of those guys. I mean, they love him. He even worked out at Alabama's camp during the summer. A lot of these kids, they go to camps. They're not working out. They're just hanging out. They're visiting, rubbing shoulders with the right people. But he worked out, and Alabama was extremely impressed. And, he's backing up that number one overall ranking, number one quarterback in the country.
So when it comes to QB recruiting, we know Alabama is going to get a good one. And right now, it looks like either Bryce Underwood, the number one quarterback, or the number 2 quarterback in George McIntyre could likely end up in Tuscaloosa. As it stands right now, Andrew, who do you think Alabama has a better chance with?
Yeah, I'd probably go McIntyre just because he's visited Alabama a lot more. And I know Tennessee, feels pretty confident that the McIntyre is going to end up going there. But, when looking at those two, I mean, Underwood's only visited Alabama twice. This was the second visit for him. McIntyre has been to Tuscaloosa 7 or 8 times. There's a strong, comfortable feeling. We've always felt like Alabama was in that top 2 with McIntyre along with Tennessee. Now, it'll be kind of interesting to see what happens with Underwood on January 6th when he says, that can really impact LSU because LSU is on the short list for George McIntyre as well, probably in that top 3 along with Alabama and Tennessee. So we'll see how things play out with Underwood, and then that may cause a little bit of a ripple effect with McIntyre. But those are 2 guys that they like I said, they have recruited both of them for a long time. Both have visited campus. Another guy, KJ Lacey, who's in the 2025 class. Ryan Williams, teammate at Saraland High School, is committed to Texas. He's been to Tuscaloosa still a few times since the decision, so he's still in play. But I think the biggest decisions that we are going to be watching here, over the next month, over the next 3 or 4 weeks, will be Underwood and George McIntyre, because I think McIntyre is getting very close to making a decision as well.
I think so too. I think George could probably come off the board 2, 3, maybe 4 weeks after Underwood, but I don't think it'll be that long.
And the biggest challenge for Alabama, though, is they just signed the number 1 quarterback in the country in the 24 class, Julian Sang. Not signed technically yet, but he's already on campus.
Yeah.
He arrived in Tuscaloosa on Friday night, participating in bowl practice. So
he's there.
How can you go and potentially sell? Coming in and competing with Julian Sang. But the good thing with Alabama is that they are going to have Jalen Milroe back for 1 more year. Right. So the next guy is not guaranteed. You come in, you compete, and the best man is going to win the job.
Well, Alabama's sitting in a great position, but it is fascinating to see how this shakes out over the next 3 or 4 weeks. Andrew Bone from BamaOnline, thank you for dropping by the Inside Scoop.
Thanks, Josh.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed that content, be sure to subscribe to the On3 Recruits channel. We have a new page dedicated only to recruiting. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button right now.